Welcome to Girl Talk. Thanks for joining us today. We're at the Vinery today. We are going to be talking about soldering, heavy metal stuff.
Wow. Metal stuff. You got super serious.
Yeah.
We all look like we're dressed for soldering, don't we?
Yeah, that's why I came like this today.
Well, the folks here are so good about helping that I think we can do it.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah, I was actually chatting a little bit ago with the owner who's going to be part of that segment, and I hadn't really thought about it. When you're making a stained glass item, you got to hold the pieces together.
Soldering is one way.
And that's one way to do it. Yeah, probably a little more elegant than duct tape.
Well, yeah. The thing that's unique about some of the things that we talk about here is these all sound like tasks that I cannot perform, but I get proven wrong that you can actually be taught these pretty simply.
You got it.
So
that's why they're here. I mean, those guys, and they do it with this calm nature about them, and they get out the power tools and the stuff with fire, and they're just,
no big deal. Just a day in the life.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a good
fun.
life, dream life. That's right. That's right. What else are we gonna do here?
We're going to be learning about an organization called Sustain Dane. Kind of cool. They think that they like the idea of everyone participating in creating a better community, a better planet, starting with little kids and all the way up to grown-ups.
Yeah, well, if you have a way that you feel like you could contribute to the environment or making things feel a little more, oriented to peacefulness or whatever, kind of just, they will give you suggestions and guidelines to kind of make a choice and make your lifestyle more pleasant for the environment.
And the event that they have coming up, it just kind of brings the community together too. Just thinking like what a great opportunity to enjoy Madison with your neighbors and people that you might not meet otherwise.
Yeah, and to end at the terrace downtown,
Right.
I mean, there's always a good reason to go down there, and if there's not, this is it.
Yes.
I always want a reason to go
We're
there.
going to learn more about the event they have. It's a little bike tour show and tell about what they do, making their way. Pizza's involved.
Pizza's involved, right?
Damn it.
Yeah, so stick around to learn more about that. Now, if you're looking to get away from the noise and all, it might be just as close as your backyard. Ashley Levy's with us from Mimosa Books and Gifts. She's going to be talking about creating a sacred space outdoors.
And
Which is so important.
It is.
Right.
It's indoors, outdoors. We get only a few months in Wisconsin to enjoy the outdoors,
We
so
have to
let's make
take
it
the
perfect.
opportunity.
Yes.
Absolutely. Our window of opportunity is very short in this
Yeah.
state.
Especially if you're trying to do it before the mosquitoes hit.
Right. I mean,
good
literally, we
point.
have like a month of
Yeah.
nice
That's a good
weather, no
point.
This is
mosquitoes.
kind of
So
the sweet spot.
unless your sacred space has to do with like a net around
Maybe
you,
she
that
has
could be-
tips how to adorn with like mosquito repellent.
Yeah, we'll have to ask her about that. She knows everything. So
Some sort of sexy mosquito netting.
Oh my goodness.
you could pull that off. A hat like with the net. You could totally do that, Jen. I can
We
see
better
it.
go before things get out of control.
Alrighty, well, we'll be back chatting with Ashley Levy about a sacred outdoor space right after the break.
Welcome back to Girl Talk. We're here at the Vinery, and this is a stained glass studio. We're going to chat with the owner a little bit later about some fabulous projects that you can do here. Lots of fun and creativity. We're going to keep your creative juices flowing because we've got Ashley Levy here. She's the owner of Mimosa Books and Gifts, and we learned so much from you when you join us. Thanks for being here.
Oh, absolutely. I love it.
I love the topic that we're chatting about today because it's finally starting to get warm out. We're ready to get outside and really create a sacred space outside. So this is something you can help us soak up some sunshine. But what are some ways that we can take our sacred space outdoors?
Well, I think the key here is just don't think one-dimensionally. So you want to think about, of course, the things that are going to be really aesthetically pleasing visually, but you want to think about incorporating things like scent and sound and just really kind of engaging all of your senses when you're taking this outside.
Smart, you're right. You think of the aesthetic component and how does it look, but that's a smart idea.
So give me some examples of how you could take some of these special sensory things or objects or examples that you have from the indoors to the outdoors and make that sacred space.
Well, of course, the most simple is on the visual kind of perspective, and you can do that with beautiful statuary. You can do that with the plants that you choose to surround yourself with. But if you're choosing something like sound, pick maybe a wind chime, or if that's a little bit too much for you, maybe a nice fountain so you can hear that natural water sound. Or for the scent, the fragrance that you're bringing outside to kind of create this full immersion experience, think about maybe bringing some incense or planting some really fragrant flowers.
That's such a good point. Are there things that we should be mindful of when we're picking these materials?
You know, the one thing you want to make sure of, especially when you're choosing something like statuary, is that it's made for outdoors. You don't want to
Sure.
put something that's wood because obviously, unless you're okay with that weathered look, you might have a little bit of an issue.
Right.
So there are great different like cement and stone and concrete type statues that you can put outside. So just making sure that it's weatherproof, especially for our tough Wisconsin winters if you're going to leave it out year round.
Right, absolutely.
Anything, thinking of that, is there anything that could affect your plantings, like materials that would be not good for the plantings, like metals or anything that would get into the ground?
There are. So when you're using something like old railroad ties or something like that, make sure that you're not using any kind of treated wood, especially if you're growing vegetables nearby. Yeah.
Yeah, the toxins to get into the ground.
Exactly.
That was a great question. Maybe something I wouldn't have thought of. I'm picturing Janet right now. I wish she was in this segment because I know she likes her hanging baskets, and I can just picture her going, one more hanging basket will be nice. Maybe just one more. But anyways, I want to talk a little bit about how to use your sacred space. Chat with us about that.
So once you've created this beautiful kind of outdoor sacred space, one great thing that you can do is meditate in it. You can take your yoga practice outside, which I love. You can do sun salutations actually out in the sun, so kind of nice that way. Or you can just spend some time with the kiddos outdoors.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. My kids like to come and help me garden a little bit. So what would be some things besides just my daughter likes to dig for worms. That's one thing she likes to do. Of course
Such
she
a
does.
tomboy.
But that's a good little educational bit. You explain how the worms help the flowers grow and they go in and out and all that. But some other ways to get kids involved, what would you think?
So when I was little, my grandpa would take me on walks and he would tell me about all the different plants and trees and birds and insects, and it was so fun to learn all that stuff as a kid. But the other thing that I really, really love is create some activities that you can actually do along with your children and let them really be a part of. So one of our favorites at Mimosa is creating little fairy gardens. And this is super popular right now. Oh my gosh, it's so fun because you can do this actually in the garden itself. You can do it in a little planter, even if you don't have a yard. So you can really make this work for you. And I love adding some cute little elements like tiny succulents and things like that. You can even get perennial ones that will overwinter. But you can also add tiny statues and little patio furniture that's made for your fairies. And
Oh my goodness.
it's so cute.
It's like grown-up dollhouse play. I love it.
It seriously is, and it gives
Yeah.
you an excuse to kind of get to be really creative and have some fun too. We made a few last summer. We made little pathways and all kind of cute things.
That's so
This is what's
cute.
going to get you to garden finally.
I know.
You're going to want to do any
I didn't
patio
know I could
furniture.
have furniture for my fairies. This is so fun chatting with you. I appreciate it. These guys are fabulous over at Mimosa Books and Gifts too. They'll help you get your outdoor space perfectly ready for you to have a great little relaxing moment. Thanks, Ashley. We appreciate it. We've got more Girl Talk coming up after the break. We're here at the Vinery, and we'll be right back.
And welcome back to Girl Talk. We're filming today at the Vinery, and later on we'll catch up with those folks and learn about some projects, maybe just in time for Father's Day. We'll find out. But continuing with our outdoor themes, enjoying the outdoors, with us we have Sustain Dane, and joining me is Jessie Lerner and Lucille Marshall. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
So you're going to talk about how everyone can contribute to a better community, a better world. Tell us about Sustain Dane.
Yeah, so at Sustain Dane, we work to achieve holistic sustainability. So having a healthy planet, a thriving economy, and a just community. We like to call that big S, sustainability.
That is a big
Yeah, it's quite big.
It's a tall order, but it's all very
is.
admirable. Love the idea.
Thank you. Yeah, and we really work to achieve that by working with individuals like you and you, whether it's in your workplace or your school or your neighborhood, to make change happen for a better tomorrow.
Every little bit can help.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Thank you for being here and for your hard work. Awesome. It's great. I want to hear a little bit about community event you have happening called WOW. It has to do with bikes, it has to do with the East Side and Lowell School. So
Yeah, absolutely. So Sustain Dane is kicking off our annual Week of Wins with an exciting biking adventure on Wednesday, June 14th. This is one of my favorite Sustain Dane events, so I'm really looking forward to it. We'll be biking around to different Sustain Dane program sites and hearing the success stories from sustainability champions from local schools and businesses. So it's a really great, cool neighborhood tour and an opportunity to see what we mean when we talk about Big S sustainability.
that's a great way to share who's involved, what they've done, what they've accomplished, and how to get involved, and also be on a bicycle and get a little exercise and see the community.
It's like show and tell on a bike.
Right?
That's perfect. I mean, elevating stories. That's what this is all about.
So
That's a good one, Janet.
I've read here that your first stop on this bike tour is Lowell Elementary School. Why is that?
Yeah, so Lowell has an outdoor classroom, an outdoor garden, and research shows that having students engage in outdoor learning during the school week, excuse me, really helps support students achieve academically, emotionally, and socially. And so that's one of the reasons we really work to support outdoor learning in the greater Madison region.
Yeah, I wish I would have had that as a kid. Well, maybe we did at recess or something.
Right.
Well, and we want that beyond recess because it really supports the whole child, which helps move us towards that big S.
It's really, the outdoor classroom there is very nice. I have a child that goes to school there, like we were talking before, and I got to put my hands in and help a little bit last year with rejuvenating that outdoor space. It is lovely, and the kids appreciate it. I mean, my son talks about it all the time. So it isn't just like parents can feel proud. The kids really do appreciate it. So that's one of the great stories that's going to be shared. Tell us about some of the other stories we might hear about on the bike tour.
Sure. So we'll be biking to local parks and schools and businesses. We'll hear from Public Health Madison and Dane County. We'll hear from Morgard Center for Public Service, Willie Street Co-op, and the Yahara Watershed Academy. We'll also learn about the sustainability initiatives at Ian's Pizza while enjoying some complimentary pizza, which will be delicious.
I was going to ask about the pizza.
Janet's like, I'm in now.
Right?
You gotta rejuvenate yourself while you're biking.
Right, of course.
Burn calories, take them in.
And Ian's Pizza's delicious. So.
And we'll finish off the bike tour at the UW Memorial Union Terrace for some sunset views and celebrations. So the whole evening will be, great
sounds so
company,
fun.
biking, and storytelling.
And that's a nice, good bike ride from Lowell to downtown. I mean, that's a couple of miles, so fun. So prepare to, if you have little kids, to either have them on a seat or something so they're not feeling too tired at the end. Thinking about my own plans.
Right, no problem.
I love that you're planning.
I like the
Well, we're
idea
almost
of it.
out of time, so just to recap, this biking tour is Wednesday, June 14th, and it's at 5:15 to 7:45 p.m., right before the sun's going down. Correct. And how do people take part?
Yeah, so you can register today to reserve your spot. Just go to our website, sustaindane.org, events page, full details. And you can go ahead and it's a minimum $10 donation. Anything above will support our work with outdoor learning and the Outdoor Learning Network. And it's about 4.5 miles, so leisurely pace, anyone can do it.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Again, this is
Thank you.
Sustain Dane. Check out their website, maybe join in that bike tour, and join us right after the break. We'll chat with the Vinery. Welcome back to Girl Talk. This is our final segment we've been filming today with our guests at the Vinery. And we finally have the head glass gurus of the Vinery with us right now. With me,
put.
yeah, I have Denny Berkery, he's the owner and the head honcho, and head instructor and glass guru Josh Krogman.
Krogman, yeah.
All
Thank
righty.
you.
What are we talking about today, guys?
Well, we're going to start out, we're going to explain a little bit about making a basic stained glass window. And so we're going to kind of cover a glass cutting segment and then also a soldering segment.
Cool. I guess I had never thought about starting with something tiny. I like this. Okay. So what's the first step?
Janet's like, go big or go home.
So the first step is we already got a pre-cut circle here, but I'm going to pre-number my pieces so I know exactly where they go back together. And you can see I have a nice little pattern on there. And I'm going to line up my ruler, and I already made some pre-cuts beforehand. I'm just gonna go right down the line.
Is that scoring it?
That is scoring my glass. And then I can break that right down the middle. And like I said, I have some pre-cut pieces already.
Oh, you make that look
I
so
make it
easy.
look
I was just
so
gonna say, Josh
easy.
makes it look really easy, but they are such good instructors here that when you come in, it's just as easy to do by yourself.
We want to make you feel comfortable.
At least you've done some of this before.
I
haven't you?
have,
Have you actually done this part?
Yes. Not quite as quickly, but I have.
She says that hesitantly.
So voila, we have our pre-cut pieces, and then we have some bevels that go in the center of these pieces. So those fit right in the center. And my last bevel I have here, after we have everything cut out, we wrap everything in foil. So you have to carefully individually wrap foil around each piece, and then assemble it all together. And then you're at the next phase.
Exactly. So just to back up a little bit, the foil comes off the roll. It's a tape. And has an adhesive on the back side. So we wrap each piece of glass with the copper foil. And the reason for that is that the next step is we're going to solder this piece together. Your solder does not readily stick to the glass, but it will readily stick to the copper. So the copper provides a base for the solder to stick to.
It's all coming together now.
Yes. All right. So there's the details.
The copper's the
So-
secret sauce.
It is. So, but in order to get the solder to stick to the copper, we take a liquid flux and we brush it on top of the copper. That removes any oxidation from the copper and readily allows the solder to stick. That makes sense so far?
Yes.
So,
Okay, well, let's see.
are we going to get quizzed on this later?
Yes, yes, yeah, there will be a
So,
quiz.
when you're talking about soldering, can anyone solder?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
You know, we kind of have, with the stained glass, we sort of have an age restriction. We like to see people of 14 years or older.
Okay.
Due to the fact that
Which
we're working
makes
with...
sense.
Yeah,
Cutting glass
hot
and
soldering
hot
iron and all that. So I have my soldering iron here, and I'm going to take it. I'm just going to melt it right on top of the copper like that.
Boy, at least how many times have you seen a stained glass window with that soldering seal, but never...
Never know.
Yeah, it's really neat to see how it's done.
Yeah. So what we strive for is a nice, smooth, even soldering bead, okay? And as a beginner, that's the challenge, and it takes a little practice, but...
What the steady hand or making a straight line or what?
Constant flow, steady hand, nice bead all the way across.
Okay.
feeding just the right amount of solder
Okay, I'm going to go the other
into
route.
the iron.
What happens if it gets on the glass?
Oh, you mean like that?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, you just kind of scooch it back over.
Really?
And
Oh,
it comes right back
wow.
over. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that does happen. So, yeah, that's the technique to take care of it.
Okay. So as we keep going here, these are pieces specifically for the garden, or?
Well, this particular piece here would be hanging. Okay,
Right,
so we
like
get
in a
some light
window.
passing through. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then moving on to what we have laid out here, I'd have
yeah,
Josh
I'm
explain.
seeing a few garden items here, which is
These
probably like the
are
perfect time of the
A few
season.
things some customers have made. There's some little chickadees. And yeah, the Fusing Center we have open. But we have these, the feathers, and we have a garden weekend coming up.
We do. It's June 17th, and it's called All Day Fusing Garden Art. And it'll be about 7 hours worth of people coming in and making different projects. So they're going to be making the garden leaf. They'll also be making the flower that you have in your hand
Absolutely
there.
gorgeous.
A larger version of them,
We've
And-
seen that a few times.
a few
yeah.
times.
Right,
And the
then-
garden stake there.
And the garden stake. Okay, that particular piece would fit onto a copper framework and go right out into the garden.
So the soldering is for this indoor piece, and then
Right.
this is a different method called fusing.
Correct.
Okay, how does that work?
Fusing, basically you have glass that is all compatible with itself, and we put it in the kiln and it melts down together. So when the glass heats up and cools down, all the atoms in the glass are tested to cool off at the same rates, and they're all compatible, so they don't break or anything. If I put this glass in the kiln, it would probably stress and break. We wouldn't get a nice finished piece like that.
And that's what makes the glass stick together, like these white pieces stick onto the green
So
leaf.
putting them in the kiln is actually what makes them stick together when they melt down and into each other, essentially fusing together.
Yeah, this particular piece here, these leaves are probably fired up to about 1380 degrees. Okay, and then you take a piece like this one over here, and it goes even higher because when we fuse it higher, it all goes smooth. So, but the basic process is that the glass is melted into the kiln, it forms a bond to each other, and that's what creates our pieces and makes beautiful garden art.
So this is fused. Why can't you fuse this? Is it more delicate or?
Well, Josh is explaining there's a different compatibility of glass.
Okay.
And when all our fusing projects, it all has the same compatibility. So when it melts together, there's no stress in the glass.
Gotcha.
Alrighty.
Well, you hear from the expert.
So there's items that you can make for your garden or for your home, or maybe a gift for someone else.
Oh, good idea.
And just before we leave, Josh, when was the event?
June 17th.
Okay, is that a Sunday?
Saturday.
A Saturday. Okay, and
Plenty
that's
of
for
time.
any of these projects?
Any of the
The
fusible
fusible
The fusion, the glass,
Yep.
and the garden items. Alrighty. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Always
Thank you.
interesting.
It's always fun.
Well, thanks to all of our guests today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Girl Talk.